Welcome back to the early morning agriculture roundup here on 580 WIBW. Greg Akagi with you this morning. And right now it's time for the Kansas livestock scene. And we're joined now by Scarlett Hagens, Vice President of Communications with the Kansas Livestock Association. Scarlett, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Greg. How about yourself?
Well, not too bad. We got rain yesterday morning, and it sounds like we've got several chances here through the long Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. Looks like several places have potential for moisture. I know there's some places in the state that will be very happy to receive it, and I hope that they're the lucky winners.
Yeah, absolutely. Some probably out in the Flint Hills going, can we shut it off for just a little bit?
Yeah, there's some that are ready for a break for sure. But again, like we always say, sure never want to disparage rain, no matter where you're at.
Indeed, indeed. All right, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get right to it. And one of the big announcements this week, Scarlett, was the release finally by USDA of the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program.
That's right, Greg. And when you say finally, that's the right term. We've been waiting for this. They announced this program back in early April, but we just really have been waiting on the details of that. And that was finally released this week, early in the week. And it will provide $16 billion in direct payments to agricultural producers. And essentially, those funds are going to come from two different pools of money, if you will. One is the CARES Act, and the other is from the Commodity Credit Corporation Charter Act. Now, the application period begins May 26th, so next Tuesday, this thing is supposed to kick off, and it will run through August 28th. USDA says that payments should be received 7 to 10 days after the date of submission. So once this application period opens, we encourage folks to contact their local FSA office, as they will have more details. And I will go through just a few details, hit a few highlights, Greg. But I won't get into the weeds because this really radio isn't probably the right platform to get into all the details. But I do want to give folks a few of the upper level details. For livestock producers, assistance is available for those who have an ownership interest in eligible livestock that have suffered a 5% or greater price decline as a result of the pandemic and thus face additional significant cost in marketing their inventories due to unexpected surplus and disrupted markets. Now, the livestock that are eligible for CFAP include cattle, hogs, and sheep at this point. Those are the main ones we're going to be talking about and what the program focuses on for livestock. A single payment for livestock will be calculated using the sum of the producer's number of livestock sold between January 15th and April 15th of 2020. That will be multiplied by the CARES Act payment rates per head. And then in addition to that, they will add payments for the highest inventory number of livestock between April 16th and May 14th of this year, and that will be multiplied by the Commodity Credit Corporation payment rate per head. So essentially, you're going to have your money is going to come from two different places. Like I mentioned, the calculations are going to be based on two different things, and then they will combine those to get the official payment. Now, the one thing I do want to say about the dates, KLA is not a fan of the dates. In fact, we asked USDA not to set an arbitrary marketing date when staff provided input after President Trump signed the bill. We just think that we're just not a fan of the dates. We feel like that those don't encompass all those producers that have seen significant losses. So with that said, KLA is working with our Kansas congressional delegation and NCBA, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, to correct this disparity. We feel like there should be some opportunity to fix it or at least improve it or improve the problem in the next stimulus package. So I just wanted to make that note for listeners to understand that we realize that the dates are an issue. I will briefly talk about dairy operations real quick. CFAP payments are eligible to all dairy operations with milk production. in January, February, and or March of this year. Any dumped milk production during these months is eligible for assistance. A single payment will be made equal to the sum, again, of two calculations. Calculations for dairy are going to be different, obviously, than the calculations for livestock. I will mention that the livestock cattle are divided into 5 different categories. In CFAP, we've got feeders less than 600 pounds, feeders more than 600 pounds. We've got 2 slaughter cattle categories. One is for fed cattle, one is for mature cattle, so your cull cows and bulls. And then we've got a category that's just other, all other category. And then, of course, there's also payments for hogs and payments for sheep. And so just to be aware of that. And I know I threw a lot of information at you right now, but what I want to be clear is KLA actually hosted a webinar this week to discuss the details of the program with our members, answer as many questions as we could. That webinar is on our on our website under our coronavirus response page. So you can find that webinar, you can listen to it, hear a lot more details than what I've given right now, and be able to see the slides that kind of went along with the webinar, and hear some of the questions, because they may address some questions that other folks have. So I encourage you to go on, watch the webinar. There's a lot of other tools regarding CFAP on our webpage there. So look there for details, and also contact your FSA office when this thing starts.
Scarlett Hagens with the Kansas Livestock Association, our guest on the Kansas livestock scene here on 580 WIBW. And Scarlett, just recently, the Kansas Department of Agriculture issued guidance, really, I guess you would call it updated guidance, for livestock shows.
They did, Greg. You know, we're coming into summer months. Kansas has a lot of livestock shows that go on throughout the summer. Kiddos that have worked really hard with their livestock, whether it be cattle or hogs or sheep or whatever, goats, whatever it may be. And so there's a lot of questions out there about how those will be allowed to continue. And so under Executive Order number 20-29 from Governor Laura Kelly, competitions and events not affiliated with fairs or festivals were allowed to resume as of yesterday, May 22nd, under our phase 2. This includes livestock shows for which the Kansas Department of Agriculture, like you said, has provided guidance protocol. So according to KDA, livestock shows and competitions, that are taking place under this phase 2 framework are to only involve competitive classes and show rings. They cannot include any entertainment or other group type activities. At least 6 feet of distance must be maintained between individuals or groups. Any instances in which there are more than 30 individuals in one location, and those individuals aren't really able to keep that 6 feet of distance, those situations need to be avoided. So like entryways, things like that. We need to be careful that people aren't gathering in entrances. Additionally, concessions must not include self-service food or beverages. Again, there's a lot more to this guidance. They can find the full guidance, which I think is about 4 pages, again on our website under the coronavirus response page. And there's a lot more details about things that should be considered prior to the event and during the event. So for more details, again, go to our website.
That's KLA.org, and just go to their coronavirus response page. And Scarlett, we always like to talk about scholarships and the many ways through the Kansas Livestock Foundation reward scholarships. In this case, for K-State vet students, well, they received Merck cartridges. And of course, that is the process of getting some scholarships too.
That's right, Greg. So through our Kansas Livestock Foundation, like you said, and we've discussed many years before, we offer scholarships through our Kansas Livestock Foundation. And one of those is our Merck cartridges for cash scholarships. That is provided through Merck, and basically those scholarships are paid for when our members bring in empty Ralgro and Revlor cartridges they either turn them into their Merc rep or they bring them into KLA staff at a KLA meeting or convention or whatever. Each cartridge is worth 25 cents. And our members have been fantastic about donating those or bringing those in and turning them in so that we can have funds to give scholarships. This year, the Kansas Livestock Foundation has awarded a total of 28 scholarships totaling $31,000 for the 2020-21 school year. 5 of those students that are attending K-State College of Veterinary Medicine were given each $1,500 for a scholarship to go towards their vet school education. And just real quick here, I want to recognize who those winners are. They included Lauren Hurd of Wichita, Sarah Kruger from Lebo, Leah Metzger of Towanda, Jason Payne from Hutchinson, and McKaylee Woodward of St. George. So we congratulate those folks for winning these scholarships. And Greg, we'll be talking about other winners in the weeks to come.
Indeed. Well, if you're an ag graduate, first off, congratulations. But I know for the Kansas Livestock Association, you get a chance to offer them membership.
We do, Greg. This is something that we do every year around this time. Of course, we're in graduation season. Unfortunately, it looks really different for a lot of students, and I hate that for a lot of folks that are missing out on that graduation celebration. But KLA is once again offering a 1-year complimentary membership for ag graduates through our Ag Grad program. And basically, this gives an ag graduate all access to member benefits and services, our weekly newsletter, our monthly magazine, all the services that KLA provides. And they get this for 1 year for free, essentially. To qualify, students must reside in Kansas and recently have graduated with an agricultural related degree from K-State, K-State Vet Med, Fort Hays State, or a Kansas community college. Now, I do want to clarify, students graduating from a community college but continuing on to a 4-year school are not yet eligible. But when they graduate from their 4-year school, they'll absolutely be eligible. So again, if you're interested in this program, go to KLA.org.
All right, sounds good. Scarlett, we're out of time, but it's always great to talk to you and enjoy the Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks, Greg. You too.
That's Scarlett Hagens with the Kansas Livestock Association, our guest on the Kansas Livestock Scene here on 580 WIBW.